Welcome back, guys. As promised, I'm going to go ahead and take you guys through the Paragon path choices you can make for the Trickster Rogue. As you see at the moment, my Rogue is deep in thought, contemplating what exactly he wants to spec into as far as talent trees go. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Now, as you see here, the Trickster Rogue talent trees are broken into 3 different Paragon paths. Now, that is the Saboteur, the Scoundrel, and the Executioner. But before we get into a detailed description of those, I'm going to take you through the general, or maybe the starting feats. They're called Heroic here. So, the Heroic feats, they're pretty simple to use. What I thought initially you had to do is kind of put the points into them in a line along the top, leading to the one you wanted, because the Saboteur was the one I wanted to spec into. This is completely false. Don't follow this. I'm going to explain to you how it works. Now, this, you see how there's a little golden background outline. So as you put points into something, you'll see this background move across further and further until it gets to, well, gets to the end, really. So you can actually spec into any one of the starting 3 feats that you start off with. Now, once you max one of them, you should get enough points to move the background onto the next one, so the next will not open. So you can put, you know, like 5 points to action advantage, then 3 into battle wise, and you know, then the next row will unlock, and so on and so forth until you've pretty much got to the end, and you'll be able to max out one of these 3 at the end, and then you will lead into the 3 separate trees available to you for the Paragon path. Now, I'm going to take you through and explain each feat individually, just so you guys know what the hell's going on. Okay, so starting off with the Heroic feats, we've got Action Advantage, up to 10% additional action point for dealing combat advantage damage. A very good feat. I could see how this would be useful. I mean, we always need that combat advantage buffs. Swift Footwork, your stamina regenerates 10% faster. Now, stamina being your rolling bar, just the top here. And I only spec'd into this because I thought that's how you get to the top, which is probably not true. So really, I don't think stamina would be that beneficial, so I probably wouldn't pick up the spec once I respec. Now, Endless Assault. Your encounters deal 6% more damage. Now, encounter abilities are your Q through to R abilities right down here. So, you know, buffing them is always a good choice. I would definitely pick this up. Now, Weapon Mastery, up to 3% greater chance to land a critical hit. You know, a passive crit bonus. Gotta love it. A great feat. I'd suggest everyone pick that one up. Battle-wise, you create a 6% less threat. Now, of course, I always don't really like speccing into less threat because, I mean, I figure if a tank is doing his job, I shouldn't need to worry about my threat too much. Plus, if you're staying in stealth all the time, you shouldn't have much of a problem with that. Twilight Adept restores up to 10% of your stealth meter when you dodge roll. Another great feat, I'm guessing, would be for PvP, because I don't see this being too useful in PvE. I don't think any boss fight would make you roll that much unless you've like failed miserably. Okay, now we've got Disciple of Strength. Increases the bonus amount of strength, the amount of damage given to you by a strength bonus up to 15%. Now, this could come quite in handy. I'm not sure if this one would be for a specific type of weapon. I feel like it might be better off used for something like an axe, because maybe an axe takes advantage of more strength. But like I said, I don't play D&D myself, so I'm not sure how that one will work. Toughness, just a raw 9% increase to your max HP. Always good. Once again, more for a PvP feat, I think, because I don't think, I mean, max health doesn't really do much for you as far as PvE goes. Cunning Ambusher, up to 6% more damage for 6 seconds after leaving stealth. Always a good feat. I'm guessing this would stack very well when you specialize in one of the 3 Paragon trees. They'll probably cut really well with that. Lucky Skirmisher increases your chance to deflect by 3%. Another decent feat. I'm not sure if I'd pick this one up because I'm not sure how good deflect really will end up being, but you know, I guess it might be worth it. Now, Improved Cunning. You see I've got 1 point in here. Your stealth lasts up to 20% longer. Now, this is an amazing feat, I think, especially if you'll be rolling the Saboteur build, which seems to be completely, you know, based around stealth and staying in stealth the whole time. Now we come to the 3 different Paragon feats. I'll go through them all for you. So the Saboteur, being the Saboteur Rogue is an expert at subterfuge and deception, using stealth to deal damage to unsuspecting foes. Clearly, it's going to be completely about staying in stealth, 100% of the time and dealing extra damage that way. Now, the Scoundrel. The Scoundrel Rogue has mastered underhand fighting techniques, weakening foes over time while preserving survivability. This is actually a really interesting tree. I'll have more on that later. I'm going to take you through that one as the last tree because I think it's more of a mix. It's really interesting. Now, the Executioner's tree is all about crit. The Executioner Rogue expertly dispatches his foes with precise high damage strikes and critical blows to a victim's vital areas. Complete crit build, this one. It's going to be really deadly, guys. I'll have a read of the feats to you in just a second. I'm going to start off with the Saboteur spec. Now, starting off, we have Speed Swindle. When you crit a foe, it loses up to 10% run speed, where you gain an extra 10%. Again, another PvP feat, I would say, because I don't see too much use coming of that in PvE, especially because I'm sure other classes have better slowing abilities for you. Now, Nimble Dodge. Your dodge costs 10% less stamina. The reduction is doubled while stealth. Again, maybe possibly another PvP feat, because I don't see recovering dodge, while stealth being that, that amazing in PvE. Baited Action. Your bait and switch dummy has up to 10% more health and reflects up to 5% damage dealt to it. Now, this could be useful in PvP. Take it if a whole group of ads spawns while you're fighting a boss, you can quickly throw your bait and switch dummy in there. It's taking the damage, keeping the ads off for that little bit longer until maybe you can get one of the other classes to do like a massive AoE attack. But also, returning damage as it's getting hit. So, a decent pickup in PvE. I'm not sure how much use that would have in PvP at all. Sneak of Shadows. Deals up to 10% more damage while stealth. A great feat, especially for this tree. We were going to be in stealth the whole time while using this tree. So, yeah, definitely, I think anyone using the Saboteur tree would pick this up and max it. Cunning Stalker. While stealth, you build up to 20% more action points. Always good. Action points, of course, being the bar we use to do our dailies. So, and seeing as our daily being Lurker's Assault, which gives you an extended amount of time, or sorry, regen for your stealth meter, it's a must. I would pick this one up. Now, Sneaky Stabber. Your Gloaming Cut now grants up to 10% of your stealth meter. Gloaming Cut being the one where if you get a killing blow, your stealth meter goes up. So, or if you're already in stealth, it just kind of regens. So, another great feat. Expert Sneak. While stealth, you gain up to 10% run speed, and your at-will powers reduce your target's damage by 5%. At-will powers, of course, being your spammy powers, which you'll be using for the left-click and right-click button down here. So, another great feat, I'd say. I'm not sure if I picked this one up, but, we'll see how it works out. Unerring Ambush. Now, strikes with Death Strike, Dazing Strike, and Blitz deal up to 20% more damage from stealth. Of course, you would pick this one up. But strangely enough, this doesn't include the Lashing Blade attack, which is basically your biggest damage move coming out of stealth. Even as you see stealth, the buff to it while stealth deals an additional 50% damage. I have no idea why this isn't included in the, like a buff for this ability is including in the Saboteur tree, seeing is all about stealth. Yeah, very strange. Anyway, moving on. Ruthless Efficiency. When you land a killing blow, your armor pen is increased by 30% for 6 seconds. This will be an amazing damage boost for anyone, especially seeing as, if you're doing an instance dungeon run in general, there'll be killing blows, everywhere, especially if you're a Trickster Rogue. I've been top killing blows by a lot in every dungeon run I've done so far. So, and even in the boss fights, there's always, ads that spawn, especially in this game, I believe, that you'll always be able to activate that armor pen and then just maybe, get straight on the boss and do some extra damage. So there you have the Saboteur tree, a really high damaging tree it looks like, and I love it. This is the one I'm going to be trying out first, especially because I want to, make sure I can stay in stealth the whole time, and it's going to be really good. Now, the second tree I'm going to look at is the Executioner, which is obviously all based around crits. Now, let's get right into it. Dazzling Blades. Your at-will powers have a 15% chance to reduce the cooldown on recharging encounter powers by a second. An amazing feat, I think. Anything that reduces the cooldown of your encounter powers, which would probably be your main source of damage, is just great. I would max this one out easily if I was doing it the Executioner tree. Now, Cruelty's Reward. When you critically strike a foe, you generate up to 10% less threat for 6 seconds. Again, not one that I would pick up. I don't think I should really be speccing into something that reduces my threat. I think the tank should just be good. And once again, the stealth, I'm pretty sure the stealth drops your aggro anyway, so probably wouldn't recommend speccing into that one. Brutal Backstab. While stealth, you're critical with 20%. Oh, you critically strike with 25% more severity. You know, your crits just become massive, basically. A must feat, of course, for this tree, and you'll be doing some ridiculous damage with it. Now, Deadly Momentum. Duelist Flurry has a 25% chance to apply Deadly Momentum. Deadly Momentum increases your critical severity by another 5% per stack. So I'm not sure how many times that can stack, it does not say, but again, like these two together makes for some ridiculous crit damage. I'd pick it up definitely. Thrill of the Kill. When you land a killing blow, you gain up to 1% of your action points. Yeah, it sounds decent enough. I wouldn't mind picking that up if I had some extra points, but I probably wouldn't max this one out or maybe put any points into it, but that's just me. Now, Devastating Shroud increases your critical strike chance and severity by up to 10% for 6 seconds after using a Shocking Execution. Another, like, ridiculously good crit stacking feat. Matched with Brutal Backstab and Deadly Momentum, oh man, the damage you'll be doing is ridiculous, I believe. Anyway, definitely want to try that out. Now, Critical Teamwork. You and your nearby allies get, so 5%, basically 5% chance to crit for your entire party. Everyone is going to love you. You're going to be doing wicked damage. Great. I would pick that up. Sharpened Steel. Blitz and Wicked Reminder have a 10% more chance to crit. Another great crit feat. I would probably pick that up, guessing for this particular spec, Blitz and Wicked Reminder will be one of your, one of the moves you use the most. Now we come to the Overrun Critical. When you land a critical hit, one of your next attack strikes with 30% of your crit severity. So, you know, another great feat. It only costs 1 point. As far as Paragon powers go, so obviously you would pick this one up. It looks pretty good. Just this entire tree, guys, looks really deadly. I can't wait to try the Executioner tree. I'm going to save that till after I finish tweaking the Saboteur tree. But yeah, it looks amazing. Now we come to the Scoundrel. Of course, the Scoundrel Rogue has mastered underhanded fighting techniques, weakening foes over time while preserving survivability. This is a really interesting tree, and you'll see why in a sec. I'm going to read you out the feats first. Now, Berserker's Vitality being the first one, gain up to 2.5 of your max hit points as temporary hit points when you deal combat advantage damage to your foe. So basically like a little, obviously, a health buff for a certain amount of time. Again, I don't see much use for this in PvE, but PvP, this can be quite good. Press the Advantage. Your Impossible to Catch now also improves your power by 10. Anything that improves your attack power is a great feat. I would definitely pick this one up. Now, Mocking Knave. Sly Flourish and Cloud of Steel deal up to 10% more damage. Additionally, Cloud of Steel's damage bonus per stack is increased. Now, of course, Cloud of Steel is your range attack daggers. So, and the way they work, the more times you shoot a certain enemy, the bigger the damage picks up. So even though this buffs that a little bit, you know, I just don't see it as I just don't like that range ability. I mean, I'd rather just roll in there and just go to town with melee, but that's just me. Now, Action Rush. Your encounter powers have a 15% chance to grant up to 15% of your action points, which, of course, is the ones you use for your dailies. So, you know, a pretty decent feat. I would probably pick that one up. Underhanded Tactics increases the effectiveness of combat advantage for you up to 20%. Of course, we always want more combat advantage increases, and I think this is definitely one to pick up. Nibble Blade, a 35% chance to deal an additional 20% damage on a non-critical strike. So this one is really interesting to me. So clearly this Scoundrel tree won't be based too much around crits, but just about, you know, just raw damage. So that's why I really think the Scoundrel tree is interesting, and I really want to try it out. Cat's Paw Style. Your Blitz and Dazing Strike reduce your target's defenses by up to 10%. The only almost armor reduction feat in this entire Trickster Rogue arsenal is in the Scoundrel tree, and that's Cat's Paw Style. Another really interesting feat I want to play around with, you know, really making this one of the really great feats of this entire tree. Now, Brutal Wound. Courage Breaker and Whirlwind of Blades also deal up to 250 of your weapon's damage over 5 seconds. Obviously, this is your only damage over time spell as far as the Trickster Rogue is concerned. Definitely a spell you want to pick up and max, seeing as it's the only one of its kind in the entire skill tree, or just in any kind of skill, the Trickster Rogue feats in general, so I would pick that one up. I'm guessing it will be very good. Now we come to the Whirlwind Sneak Attack. For 10 seconds after stealth ends, the first time you hit an encounter power, it will deal a 15% additional damage. Encounter powers obviously being the ones just here from Q to R. So another must pick up feat, obviously. This is the one you're going to try to get to. So the Scoundrel tree really, really looks interesting, and I really want to try it out, but I'm gonna finish my work on Saboteur and then Executioner, but Scoundrel is definitely a must-try for anyone that want to kind of mix it up and, you know, not just rely completely on staying in stealth and crits. So there you have it, guys. That's the entire Trickster Rogue feat abilities and the Paragon abilities as well. You know, I hope this video was helpful. I mean, I'm sure someone will set this up in a wiki and, you know, we'll break it down. I think so far, no one has done that just yet. I mean, everyone's being a bit lazy. I mean, I can't talk. I have not done that either. But I hope this video kind of helps you out to, you know, to decide if you're going to be playing the Trickster Rogue in the next closed beta events or when the game actually comes out. If you did not pre-order, then, you know, at least you'll get some idea of what to spec in. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and I'll have more to come, so stay tuned. Thanks, guys.